Good afternoon. There is one more thing about this week's material for applied machine learning that I would like to mention, and it's how to handle categorical features. And here is how. So, if you look this right-hand side, we placed here these different species of flowers, Setosa, versicolor, and virginica, and they are now placed in a coordinate axis. So we have some kind of numerical features in x-axis and y-axis, petal length and sepal width. And therefore, we can conveniently place all these balls here, all these different samples, and then we can measure the distance between samples. And now we see that these green and orange samples are close to each other, whereas these blue samples are far away from these. And many of the algorithms that we use for machine learning use this kind of Euclidean distance to evaluate the to work. For example, if you do classification, you can define these nearby samples as one class and these others as another. But and also the regression, it also needs these kind of distances usually. But what if you have categorical features? You cannot place them into this coordinate axis. For example, the species itself, the Setosa, versicolor, and virginica. Where would you place them here in the coordinate axis? Which is smaller and which is larger and which is in the middle? Yeah, there is no sense for making that kind of thing. So therefore, these categorical features are different, and many methods which are relying on Euclidean distance do not work with categorical features like that. And also many regression methods, they fail to predict anything. Or they will predict something, but not anything useful. So let's see what we can do. So the categorical features are not numerical, so they are not floating point numbers or integers, but something like class labels, or they can be something else than numerical stuff. And because we cannot put them into order, we cannot measure the distance or define any distance metrics either. And that's difficult for many algorithms. But there are some algorithms like naive Bayesian classifier or some decision trees which can also work directly with categorical features, and in that case you don't need to do anything. But if we use these others, then we need to have some mean of handling these categorical features, and one very common way is to use one-hot encoding, where we replace these categories to some binary vectors, as I will show you soon. And indeed, so if we interpret this species as one feature that is input for machine learning algorithm, so how could we use this? You could first think that, okay, let's encode it to numeric in such a way that Setosa is 1, versicolor is 2, and virginica is 3, for example. But then it looks like a numerical feature. The machine learning algorithm works, but it also utilizes the information that Setosa is smaller than versicolor, versicolor is smaller than virginica, and versicolor is somewhere in between Setosa and virginica. But that is wrong. There is no such kind of information. We cannot order them, and we cannot measure the distance between them. We cannot say which is closer to any other or not based on this categorical data. So we need to do something else. And let's see what we can do. We can use this one-hot encoding. And here the idea is that indeed we replace every categorical feature with a set of binary values instead, so that each category is described by one binary vector. So for each category, we put a separate column in the data. And therefore each kind of category can be only on or off, but there is no any kind of ordering that we need to set to them. So let's see how it works. So here I have first gone through all these target names, and target names in this case, let's see what it is. So we have iris dataset dot target names, and it seems to be just an array of these names: Setosa, versicolor, and Virginica. So in this loop, we go through all these values. So the name will be first Setosa, and the next time it will be versicolor, and the third time it will be Virginica. And in every round, we add to our pandas data frame that was called iris. I will show it to you. It is this. Okay, I have already done it. So I will add in every round, I will add a new column vector into this, which name is the species. So there will be one column for Setosa, one for versicolor, and one for Virginica. And currently here I assign 0 to all of them. And then I use the one-hot encoder. So I have imported this one-hot encoder in the scikit-learn preprocessing library, and this is a class that can do this one-hot encoding thing. And I create a one-hot encoder that I have called as enc, like encoder. And while I'm constructing this one-hot encoder, I give it to some parameters. And in this case, I say that the categories equals to auto. So I don't, I let it automatically define these categories. And then I take the columns from Setosa to Virginica from this iris dataset, what I have added there from Setosa to Virginica. So it will be these Setosa, versicolor, and Virginica, these columns where I assign a new values. And what values I assign? Those that are encoded from the iris dataset called column called iris dataset target. And let's see what this iris dataset target is. So the target names we already checked. So this is the target values. So it is currently encoded like this, that Setosas are 0s, versicolors are 1s, and Virginicas are 2. So this is one way to store this information, but it is not good for machine learning algorithms. So we need to encode it before using. But it's just a class kind of numbers. And when we now take this target and we add some axis into it, let's see what that is doing. So it created it to a two-dimensional, it added one axis into it, so it is now two-dimensional vector or kind of column vector, so that every row we have now zeros in the beginning when the values are Setosas, and then there is 1 when it is versicolors and 2 when they are Virginicas. So I kind of just converted this row vector to column vector. So now we have one column vector where each row is corresponding to this class. And this is then transformed to one-hot encoding values. Let's see what that is doing. I add there one more cell. And it created so-called sparse matrix. So it is a kind of economical representation of this kind of data, which is sparse. So there is only ones here and there, and other ones are zeros. So then I can convert that to normal NumPy array by this to array thing. And now you see how this encoding worked. So those flowers which were setosas have now the first column as 1. And those flowers who were versicolors, they have the second column as 1. And the third column is 1 for those virginicas. So we have now encoded these integers to 3 binary vectors. And why did we do that? Because now we don't need to put these in any different order. So setosa and versicolor and virginicas, they have their own identical columns, so they are kind of equal. But if you use this original encoding, then it would be so that your setosas are 1, versicolors are 2, and virginicas are 3, and then you define some ordering for them, and that is not correct. And now I have showed what the data is. So I have created from this pandas data frame iris a random sample of 10 values. So it has randomly selected 10 different values and showing how does the data now look like. And as you see, if I can scroll it properly, there is still this species column, which cannot be used for many algorithms. So I should remove this and instead let it use these 3 other columns. So the only one of these 3 is 1 at every row, because these flowers can be only of one category at a time. And now there is no ordering between them, but the information is there, so it can be used for learning. So that's it. And you can just think about this, that how did you ended up from these categories to these binary columns, and why did we do it? And this one hot encoder is one way of doing it, but you can also make your own loops for creating this thing as well. But the main idea is should be understood, that why this is done. And during this week we have been talking a lot about features using just a couple of simple data sets, and we have been visualizing this just to see that how these different features can carry useful information about these samples that we have. Then we used the t-test and some statistical methods to study how powerful these features are. Can they separate these different classes from each other? And we shortly also studied about the normal distribution and how to test that, and if the data is not normally distributed, what to do then. I also showed you an ROC curve, but yeah, it probably needs some further thought before it can be really understood well. And then I just mentioned about these categorical features, so that you can also use categorical information as an input for normal machine learning algorithms which depend on distance metrics. Yes, so that was the topic for this week, and try to go through these materials and get a good understanding what it means. and then we will test that in the exercises. Yes, good luck.